This is a short video about UFO propulsion systems you may not have thought about. Pre-existing flight systems we use today are all offshoots from what we see in nature, from birds flying to rockets used by insects. We just fly faster than a bird, and the same is true of rockets. Squids are a good example of that compressed fluid propulsion versus exploding fuel in a rocket to the moon. My system relies on something we all know about, but have never explored it beyond its basic uses. It's the electromagnet, a steel rod with wire wrapped around it and attached to some electrical power supply. Actually, any object on Earth or other planets are all affected by some form of magnetic attraction. Sometimes we call it gravity. So with that in mind, let's see what happens when a wire wound around the coil is connected to alternating current. The attraction to iron isn't so strong anymore, and when presented to aluminum object, it repels them. This is the area that requires more study. Why does it repel? We know that within a strong magnetic field, even a small frog can stay afloat, and nowhere is the frequency or the voltages of the magnitude I'm referring to. The frog isn't floating because of magnetic eddy currents for it to be true. Those currents would blow out a candle if that were so. What you see occurring in the frog is the atoms being scrambled such that gravity no longer has any influence on the positive or negative electrons of the frog's atoms. Once the alternating current is turned off, the frog's atoms quickly realign themselves, which in turn causes gravity to take over. Had the current continued to rise, the atoms within the frog would simply cause the whole frog itself to move farther away from the alternating current, much like aluminum jumps away when subjected to similar forces at the recycling centers. I suggest or propose playing with voltages, frequency, and amperage all in the high ranges, even if it means the iron core is on the verge of melting or becomes as bright as a rescue flare. If that should occur, other metals or non-metal core combinations should be explored suitable to withstand high temperatures. One thing you will notice about UFOs is that they all seem to glow either totally or in isolated small circular areas, much like thrusters positioned underneath the flying aircrafts that we use today. To provide the required electrical source, it makes sense that UFOs are using nuclear energy for longevity, and it becomes obvious when visiting a planet such as Mars with few organic fuel sources or water to convert to energy. UFOs are often seen darting off as if to disappear instantly, and that can only be achieved much like what some of you have seen at the recycling centers when aluminum flies off the conveyor belt. The humming witnesses heard coming from the UFO is no doubt the alternating current powered through a nuclear generator. Okay, so here are some facts to consider. No doubt nuclear energy is used as a fuel source to power up the coils. Hence, those that saw a UFO up close often experience radiation burns. And number 2, magnetic repulsion is the only way to move an object outside of using physical, visible force such as rocket fuels, compressed gases, etc. Flying bugs, birds, bats, aerial methods is where we still exist today. Kind of ridiculous, isn't it? Rockets are nothing new to squids and some land beetles as a mean of escape. Number 3. Everything is basically made up of atoms, and as such, the electrons can be repelled as demonstrated in the 1950s using radio tubes, radar, etc. Voltages were low back then. Number 4. By scrambling electrons on a craft, we can, in a sense, prevent Earth's gravity from having any influence on that object. And number 5, scientists need to look into discovering a metal or combination of metals that can withstand such high voltages, frequencies, and amperages. Our modern-day ion propulsion system is still a basic rocket. We need to move away from analog systems and cease looking at nature for solutions. After all, bugs, birds, and squids are never trying to reach for other planets. By using a high alternating frequency, the Earth's magnetic force has no way of influence any attraction on the object, and it should repel away. If you have better ideas, please comment. Thank you for watching. By the way, check out my sci-fi book titled Sonaro before it's made into a movie. That's about traveling to other galaxies and how we can achieve that.